Hello again, Alan Simpson here from Young Living Essential Oils. What I'm here to talk to you about today is how I got involved in Young Living. First off, I would like to say a big thank you to Chris for introducing myself to the Young Living Oils and my wife, Linda. But I want to take it a little bit further. I want to tell you how it actually happened. For 5-6 years, he would send me information. He sent me a CD, or back in those days it was a cassette. He sent me a cassette and it said the missing link. So I thought, oh, I'll have a listen to this missing link. I was like, I don't believe this. I've been looking for something for a long time that actually worked. And hearing it, I thought it had some credibility. I rang him again. I said, can you send me more information? So he sent me another cassette. I listened to it. This went on for quite a few years. I didn't actually try or use many of the oils or many of the Young Living products at that stage. I was just learning. I was listening, and I would go to lectures anywhere I could possibly go to learn information on this subject. So, after many years, he actually finally turned up at my place. And he said to me, Alan, see this? This is called lavender. A lavaderm. It has lavender in it. And he said, this will actually stop a burn. Yeah, come on. The most logical question after someone says a harebrained statement like that is, if it's so good, why aren't the hospitals using it? Well, that's a reasonable question. He didn't have a perfect answer for it, but he had a good enough answer for it, and that was, it's not patentable. At that stage I was thinking, yeah, okay, there's a lot more information I need, but no, that'll do. And I said, all right, Mr. Smarty, if you really, really think that that will cure a burn, how serious are you? Look at this, a knife. Imagine now I've got an open fire, gas stove, and I'm talking to him casually, roasting my knife on the flame. What I should actually do is do it real time on this video. Now that would turn some heads. That stinks too. Anyway, back to the story. I roasted the knife. I got it glowing, red hot. I went up to him and I said, Chris, are you serious that this will stop a burn? Of course, he's back and back going, get away from me, you maniac. Well, I undid my sleeve. I think at that stage I might not have had a sleeve on. It might have been a warm day. I had my sleeve rolled up. I said, okay, how serious are you? He's back and back, like I said, thinking I'm going to put it on him. And I went like that on my own arm. And instead of lifting it off, I dragged it off. Of course, it stunk. My wife, Linda, in the other room, she said, Alan, what are you, crazy? And the smell was going through the house. And I said, come on, big shot. How serious are you? I grabbed this stuff and I went like this. I'm not joking. You think I am. I'm not joking. Remember my disclaimer at the first video? I'm not expecting you to do this. I like to know things firsthand. I've sprayed it on that burn and I went like this. I couldn't feel it. You'd have to believe that. But look, can you see that? Straight in my mouth, on my face. You might not be able to pick that up on the camera too easy, but I tell you now, without a lie, that's what happened. I never felt another bit of pain throughout the whole entire time that was actually healing. And I had no scar. But that was 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. That's how I got introduced to these oils. You can't do that with another form of lavender, and I wouldn't suggest you do. This is what it actually comes from. Lavandula angustifolia. This is an authentic grade essential oil. Now, don't get me wrong, this is actually above therapeutic. Because remember who actually governs the actual, what if it is a therapeutic grade essential oil? Guess who? Perfume industry. Now you tell me, what have they got to do with knowing what can go into the mouth or what can go into any orifice in the body? They're only dealing with perfumes. By the way, there's no regulation of what's actually in the oil. You can put anything in an oil like that. But this one, being authentic, it's got Young Living on it. I don't know if you can see this, but here we go. Pure Lavender angustifolia going into my mouth. And again, remember what I said in the first video. This is what I do. I'm not expecting you to do it. This is what I do. I'll put that straight on my forehead. By the way, it's brilliant if you want to have a nice restful sleep of the night time. Put it on your pillow, put it on your feet. I want to explain a little bit more about why this is authentic, not just therapeutic. Remember, it's above that. Okay? Well, let me give you a little example of why I can take this particular lavender internally. Up on the board here, I hope you can see that okay, is just a short diagram. Let me just change sides here. Might be able to draw with my right hand and talk to you with my with my left, no. But anyway, these words up here, you've got linalool acetate, lavandulol, geraniol acetate, camphor. There's many more, okay? But these are some of the main constituents. Well, camphor's not. It's less than 3% is in Lavandula angustifolia, especially the Young Living one. But what I want to explain to you now is why could I take that internally and don't have any problems? Well, just imagine here's a beaker full of Lavandula angustifolia. What I'm going to do, I'm going to divide these up. Now, this is not going to be exact, so don't get me wrong that I'm going to get these exactly with the percentages perfect. That's not the reason for this discussion. We have to keep this simple and explainable so that anybody can grasp this, because it's the principle I want you to get, not the percentages and the actual amounts, okay? I want you to understand the principle here. Imagine we've got all of these. Here's our linalool is up to here, so linalool acetate is there. Let's say lavandulol, that much, geraniol, and just say down here we've got a little tiny bit of camphor at the bottom here. Or no, just put it here. There's our camphor. They're not the percentages, remember? I'm only using this as an example, as otherwise it would get too complicated and just don't want to go there. Here's our percentages of these constituents in Lavandula angustifolia, which is remember, a grade above therapeutic essential oil. It's called authentic. So now, what can they possibly do to this to make it look like a Lavandula angustifolia, but it is actually not? It's a structured Lavandula angustifolia. 90% is what you're going to get out there on the market. Just say that's the linalool here. Linalool acetate. What if we want to get rid of linalool acetate or the linalool? All you need to do, very raw, stick a fire under it, bring the temperature up. Guess what? You can then evaporate off some of these higher notes. Now, if you can evaporate off linalool acetate, you can extract this bit here, or you could say it's this bit. Doesn't matter. Remember, we don't want to get into specifics. But if we extract that off, we could send it away as a linalool acetate, right? Perfume industries could use that, get a lot of money for it. Then I can go to a chemical company. Guess what? I could buy that for pennies on the dollar. You could buy it very, very cheap. I could then tip that back into this volume. Remember, if that's the linalool acetate that I've just extracted off the top, my volume's down, isn't it? Makes sense? I can now add a synthetic one, bring the volume back up. Do you understand that? So then, is that a pure therapeutic grade essential oil anymore? Does it have the correct frequency? Does it have the correct tone? Does it have the correct sound? And I'll tell you, forget it, doesn't. okay, you wouldn't want to eat or drink that one because it will do you harm. How are you going to know? Sorry, you're not going to know. Now, if I could now extract another constituent off there, because remember, Lavandula angustifolia has only a tiny bit of camphor in it. So now, when they do an analysis on this oil, which is a GC analysis or mass spec, again, I don't expect you to know these names, but that's something for another lesson. You just have to go along with me for the minute. Just say you do a graph. And a percentage of linalool is, again, remember, I'm not interested in specifics here. Let's say linalool comes up to here on this graph, which will be a GC analysis of how they analyse each individual constituents of oils. Let's say now linalool acetate was up here. Lavandinol, about there, geraniol, let's have a little bit more there, and camphor, let's stick a little bit down here. Now remember, there's 350 of these which I could go across to find out if it was really authentic. Let's join the gaps, the dots. This is very crude, but I just want to get a point across. That would be a signature now for, guess what? Lavandula angustifolia. But was it real? No. Has it got all the criteria for AFNOR, for GRAS, for any of those ISO standards to be classed as still linalool acetate? You betcha. Big tick. Okay? Do you understand now a little bit more of why you will not know if this is or it's not an authentic essential oil? Now, let me talk to you briefly about Lavandin. Lavandin is a mixture of spike and true, makes Lavandin. Spike lavender, true lavandin, makes your Lavandin. Now, why would a farmer grow Lavandin over Lavandula angustifolia? Well, I'll ask you the question. If you were a farmer and you were growing Lavandin, quite a decent sized flower, you could produce about 28 gallons an acre. If you had the choice to put in Lavandula angustifolia, you could produce about 5 gallons per acre. Now, on the open market, what are you going to do? 28 or 5? Okay, you've had too long to think about it already. You're going to choose the Lavandin for profit's sake. True? All right. Now, what's wrong with Lavandin? Well, there's nothing really, except there is some situations that you would not use it. For a start, Lavandin is really good in purification. It's very good for bacteria and virus and that sort of thing because it's very high in camphor. Remember, the camphor content of Lavandula angustifolia was under 3%. Lavandin, from memory, without going back to the books, I think is around 21% in Lavandin. Again, I don't want to get bogged down with specifics. You'll be going through your Google, you'll be searching, and you'll be coming up and saying, "Oh, hang on a minute, he's not quite right. That was 19.2576." Please don't do that. This is not what I'm here for. I'm just showing you principles. So some of these things may not be exactly accurate, but at this point it doesn't matter. If we were starting to go accurate, you'd have to go to university and start studying this stuff, and I guarantee none of you will do it. So bear with me on this. Here we go, Lavandin. Here's your Lavandin in here. Did you know I can change that and structure it to look like Lavandula angustifolia? It's very clever. It's called, they can extend an oil or change an oil. If these percentages up here of these, which again, slightly different in Lavandin, but still we have similar constituents, and you still have, you know, anything up to 350 different constituents to make up Lavandin. It's a hybrid form of Lavandula. So what I can do now is I could change any one of these that I like by extracting off the percentages of these constituents. So just say in Lavender, I have 10% extra of linalool in Lavender. What say geraniol, I might have 5% less of geraniol. What about camphor? Remember in the Lavandula angustifolia we had up to 3% or less than 3%? This could have 21% of camphor. So if you burnt yourself for a start, you're going to use camphor to stick on your burn? No way, get it away from me. That'll burn you, that'll give you, anyway, not very nice. So how can we get rid of it? Remember, you're producing 28 gallons an acre of this stuff, and you can synthesize some of these to make it a lot cheaper by stretching some of the constituents that are in here or shrinking them. Very clever chemistry. So now, let's say there's the 21% of camphor. I can take this to a certain temperature and extract off the camphor. And I could make it so that it's 3% or less if I wanted to. I could structure that any percentage. How are you going to know? Remember before I said you're not. I mean, you can certainly go through the process and go back to the distillery and go back and get your GCs and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're not going to do it. Seriously, you're not. So, how are we going to now work this out if I'm going to take it internally or not? Or if I'm going to put it on a burn? Because when you look at a bottle, it's going to tell you it's Lavandula angustifolia. So let me just rub this out. Let's go back to our analysis, the GC that you can have done. Let's pretend we're doing a GC on Lavandin. Remember we had the analysis before, just roughly. We did this signature and it went like this. All right. Let's now do a graph of Lavandin. Again, remember, it's not specific. I don't know, I just keep echoing this because I know someone's going to be saying, that's not right. Forget the percentage, okay? Please. All right, we've got Lavandin. Let's say this one came to here. Oh, no, I'll superimpose it over the top. Let's say it came to there. Let's say this one was up here. Let's say this one was here and this one was here. I'm now going to join the dots. Are they different? Yes. Lavandin on a GC would be different to Lavandula angustifolia. So you've produced 28 gallons an acre and you can't put on your bottle Lavandula angustifolia 100% anymore because the AFNOR or the ISO or the GRAS standards state that unless it looks like that, you can't market it as Lavandula angustifolia. Sorry, it stays as Lavandin. All right. We can get real clever now with our chemistry because we know some stuff. So let's alter this a little bit, shall we? Go back to our beaker. Let's evaporate off some of these constituents. We can evaporate off some of this to make, in this case, if that one was that one, we could actually add some synthetic linalool and we could bring it up to here. And if this one represented linalool acetate, we could actually take some out, bring it back to here. This one, linalool down here, we could actually change it and put it back here. Do you get the picture? And we could make that one there. By the camphor, we could take off some of the camphor from the linalool, from the Lavandin. Now what have you got? You've got the same signature on the GC of Lavandula angustifolia. Can you sell that now as pure 100%? You could even have an organic one. Therapeutic, organic, 100% Lavandula angustifolia. Can you do that to that one? No. Can you put that onto a burn? No, because those frequencies that have been manipulated, altered, changed, whatever you like to say, does not make it authentic. It may make it therapeutic, it may make it 100%, but not authentic. So I hope you understand a little bit more of why the lavenders on the market are so different.